The Google homepage is when someone searches your brand.
Your company name.
Yeah, your company name. It's all the stuff that shows up on that page.
Yeah.
It's really.
If someone searches your company name, locally, where it applies to you most, you should see that sidebar on the right-hand side of on a desktop display.
The knowledge graph.
The knowledge graph.
Yeah.
That shows your company name, photos if you've uploaded them, map location, basic company information. If you're doing it right, you've got somebody like the Webmasters taking care of it for you. You've got FAQs and posts and all kind of other stuff showing up there too, taking up more space on that side.
Right.
And then over in the main search area over here, pretty much every link there in that top 10 may not be a link to your site, but it should pertain to you.
BBB, Yelp, Facebook, Manta, Angie's List, other review platforms, YP,
Right.
PPC.
Yeah, all of those different places where you might appear, all those should be taking up the shelf space in that first 10 spots.
Yep.
And it should actually give your potential customer a kind of a quick rundown of what you're about.
Of your brand, how stable you are. That's
Right.
your Google homepage. Hey there, guys. It's Nolan Walker and Jason here.
Howdy.
What are we talking about today? We're going to go over, the title for today is your Google homepage for roofers. And I guess we've talked about this once, maybe a year or a half
Yeah,
ago.
like about a year ago. Yeah.
But I think this has become more important as time goes on, right?
Yeah.
So some changes that are occurring is that people are becoming more conscious of their brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the reasons is that Google's like looking at you more as a brand.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because of the way they're looking at you and the way they're presenting you, people are looking at you more
Right.
of a brand, right?
And that's what Google wants. They want to know that people identify you and know who you are and trust you and all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the difference is here and had somebody call, by the way, that was in roofing. It's a client that signed up. And I don't know if you remember, they wanted us to work on another company's, it was a slightly different roofing company they had, and they wanted us to work on their brand. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
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 So we won't say who it is, but this is a true client story, I guess. And they're worried about their brand.
Right.
Because people were searching them. They got searched a lot. This was a pretty large entity.
Yeah.
And I will tell you why we didn't decide to work with them on that. They misinterpreted my hesitation for me being weak, but they misinterpreted it for me not knowing exactly how to talk to them who was ignorant towards what the scope of what needed to be done. Right. So they were ignorant towards the scope of what needed to be done. This was a national brand.
Yeah.
And we picked up a regional deal for them. And we were talking to them, or I was talking to the principals of this company, and they weren't willing to commit to their brand.
Right.
They wanted to just fix it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
They wanted a quick fix or a patch. They wanted a band-aid.
They did.
They didn't really want to put in the work.
it's a good true client story to illustrate the importance of this.
Right.
Because this company made a lot off of the brand, but the brand got searched frequently. And so now that the demographics are beginning to change for who is talking about your brand,
Right.
like the younger generation, they're beginning to talk about brands that normally didn't get much activity. So it's not like a social deal, really. It's a roofer, right?
Right.
But you guys,
Yeah, that younger generation is getting into home ownership, and they're starting
Right.
to do that.
right? And they're talking about companies that are, I guess, boring. Like roofing is boring for a younger social generation, but that
Right.
younger social generation is getting older and starting to talk about more stuff.
And they have roofs now.
And they have roofs and all that. And so I would hesitate when they would ask a question because I was filtering what I knew needed to be done with where I knew they were.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they were like, yeah, Nolan, I could sense that it wasn't really something you did, so it's fine that you don't want to do it. And I wasn't going to go in and explain to the fact that it's like, it wasn't me, it was you.
It's not me.
It's
you.
not me. It was you. I was being, professionally, having some professional courtesy in the situation because me.
You weren't straight out saying that's stupid.
Right. I'm pretty direct, but I have learned some social tact. Not a lot, but some, just a little bit. So I'm talking to them and I'm weighing their, their knowledge of it and their willingness to do it properly.
Right.
And I'm like, and we talked about it afterwards. I was like,
Yeah.
Jason, should we do this? And we're like, nah, they're not willing to commit. So in this particular thing, since it was this national presence, and this relates to you guys as local presence too, by the way, they wanted to
even more so.
They were actually wanting to remove some bad reviews.
Yeah.
So this younger generation that they were very involved with, this was an aggressive outreach company for roofing, meaning they door knocked. You guys know what I'm talking about. They door knocked and did all this stuff. This younger generation was beginning to do chatter, and some of that chatter was showing up on their Google homepage. By the way, I didn't even describe this when we were talking about the Google homepage.
We should probably define this.
We should probably define it. The Google homepage is when someone searches your brand.
Your company name.
Yeah, your company name. It's all the stuff that shows up on that page.
Yeah.
It's really.
If someone searches your company name, locally, where it applies to you most, you should see that sidebar on the right-hand side of on a desktop display.
The knowledge graph.
The knowledge graph.
Yeah.
That shows your company name, photos if you've uploaded them, map location, basic company information. If you're doing it right, you've got somebody like the Webmasters taking care of it for you. You've got FAQs and posts and all kind of other stuff showing up there too, taking up more space on that side.
Right.
And then over in the main search area over here, pretty much every link there in that top 10 may not be a link to your site, but it should pertain to you.
BBB, Yelp, Facebook, Manta, Angie's List, other review platforms, YP,
Right.
PPC.
Yeah, all of those different places where you might appear, all those should be taking up the shelf space in that first 10 spots.
Yep.
And it should actually give your potential customer a kind of a quick rundown of what you're about.
Of your brand, how stable you are. That's
Right.
your Google homepage. That's it.
Right.
By the way, video editor guy that works in the other room, some of that clip was good for 30 seconds, 60 seconds or so. I'm sorry, guys.
You do a great job, Carter.
We work here all the time.
We appreciate you.
We work here. I work here all the time. I'm just going to throw it right in the video. Saves me some time. All right, but yeah, you do a great job, but that's a good clip. I liked Jason's little tirade on it.
Tirade.
So, I'm sorry.
I should do that. I should do that as a tirade.
What would have been a better word to use?
I don't know, exposition?
There you go. But see, I don't know that, so I use tirade, and then he calls me out on it.
Tirade is like when you're angry.
I know it is, but I don't know the word exposition to throw in there, so
Okay.
my bad. All right, so that's your Google homepage. So back to this True Client Story deal. They had some articles written that were getting up there. So here's what happens, and if you don't take care of this, so for one thing, this is a barometer of your health. Right. So how great is the information showing up? Jason mentioned some stuff, by the way. One of the reasons you use us for this stuff is that we help with all of this.
Right.
It helps with your conversion. He was talking about GMB postings and FAQ, and there's other stuff, and your site links or the social links and all that. Every time we do more stuff, it's more free organic.
Right.
It's more conversion. Those things that are better actually help the rankings of other things that show up.
Right.
And your .com showing up can have site links or not. It can have other possible extensions depending on what fancy code is going on at the time.
Right. There's all kind of little things that Google will look at your homepage or other pages, and they might add in snippets of your content in a box right there on that main page.
All kinds of stuff.
And there's all kind of different things you can get to increase your profile.
This talk about your Google homepage is really a deeper dive into the excellence potential of proper SEO work. It really is, because this is the essence of some of the stuff that we do that's behind the scenes, and people are like, what do you guys do, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't ever really get into this one, but if you type in your name, the reason this company was having trouble with this, because when people typed in their name, just the name of the company or the name of the company and the word reviews, like before they go buy a roof from you, they're going to do this.
Yeah.
Like in a high percentage, right?
Right. Very high.
Like majority are going to go, your company name roofer reviews.
Right.
And if you have...
And that's backed up by data, by the way. Google is seeing, and we can see it on tools we have, an ever-increasing, it's ramping up consistently of people putting company name, whatever that company is, reviews.
Yeah.
Constantly. That combo of company name or a general keyword, if they want reviews of multiple places in their area or whatever, is consistently growing.
They have to still find you organically or by paid or by reviews or by mapping, which we do all that. We're talking about Google homepage for the health,
Right.
the view of your brand, and the conversion.
Yeah.
So when this company that I was talking about had some poor quality content written, about 2 or 3 of these things made it into, you know, the 10 to 15 bits of data on the Google homepage.
Right.
And people were clicking on it. And so when people click on it, that's a sign to Google that people must want to see this.
Right.
Now, I will tell you that the reason that we didn't want to do it and that we didn't go any further with it, we're just kind of bowed out. They misinterpreted my hesitation for misunderstanding or not knowing what to do for them with me gauging their willingness, ability, and view towards doing
Patience.
it. You know, their commitment level was low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what needed to happen though was all this work around it. Had they been working on the brand for all these years, you know, I'm not saying that they want to have anything poor quality ever show up, but I'm saying there would have been less of it, and there would have been mountains of positivity for someone to see. So most people are actually, and this is another, you talk about statistical data, most people are okay if you have something wrong.
Right.
That's part of normal data. In fact, I think Jason was talking about...
We talked about this on another episode. There was a study done recently that indicated that people are suspicious of straight 5-star reviews. If your reviews just say 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, people are like, oh, they must be faking those. They trust it a little more. That the highest trust rate was like from 3.75 to 4.5.
Yeah.
Was the highest, that was the one people are most
I
likely to
I have to disagree slightly on that. I agree with something being okay, you know, 1 or 2 things, but for me, you want a 4.4 and up, you know.
This is what the data said, man. Data doesn't lie.
Yeah, I tell you what, I just went for auto body repair, and I went for a guy that had almost all 5 stars, and it was like, you know how much of a mess that was for me.
You had trouble.
I had trouble, so maybe there's something to it. But yeah, so the point was with this particular client I'm talking to, they hadn't really ever done any of it, you know? And because it was a kind of a national brand, this was a task that they needed to really be focused on and understand it and be willing to commit to.
Yeah, if they had bad articles, bad reviews out there, just getting a review removed from any of the main platforms, it's extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
Unless that review has threats of violence.
Maybe violated some sort of protected class.
Yeah, violated a protected class or something like that. Or you can prove that the person was not a customer, which is extremely hard to prove by their standard.
Well, they may not even care anyway.
Yeah,
they can't.
They're not going to remove it. So your only real option, 99% of the time, is to drown out the bad review with good review.
So when, in this case, it was slightly different, but the point's good, since they should have, over the course of time, been doing all kinds of things with reviews and videos and testimonial stuff and maybe other platforms to get good stuff in there.
Right.
They didn't work, hardly any of this stuff really. And if they had 1 or 2 bad things, it'd been okay if people could go in and see this mountain of great stuff. They could have easily done that.
If people see a whole bunch of good stuff and then there's a couple of bad ones, they'll largely dismiss the bad ones if they see no pattern.
They were actually wanting a concerted, quick bomb effort to thwart the coming season.
Right.
To show this up, and it's like
it's like this is a marathon, not a sprint kind of deal.
So let's talk about you guys on a local level. I just Googled one of our clients, and he had a healthy knowledge graph with reviews, and he had some links in there, and they had BBB and Yelp and Facebook, Manta and Angie's List and YP and other reviews, and you could put up PPC. Your .com it had some site links in it, and so it was a nice looking thing. And so when you have quality work done, this begins to happen. But you can also, it's not just quality work. We have some reputation management software that we use with all of our clients. And as you're using this on every roof that you put on, and people are giving you reviews on BBB and on Yelp and on Google and on Facebook, all these things begin to like show up in rankings and start to fortify.
We call them signals.
Yeah.
And Google looks for signals from multiple sources. I actually read a very interesting thing the other day. A lot of people, some people still pay attention to it, but a lot of people think that the BBB, Better Business Bureau, is a little kind of outdated. Mm-hmm. The EAT, Expertise, Authority, Trust, the T in Trust, Better Business Bureau is one of Google's main sources for
how do they come up with that, by the way? In the
if you have negative stuff on BBB.
They noticed a correlation.
Yeah, no. Google came out and said it.
Oh.
It's in their documentation.
Oh,
and they don't. And believe me, they don't tell us shit. So when they do tell us something, we pay attention.
Yeah, but anyway, this stuff's important. It shows up. We help you work on it. We implement processes that make it easy to get reviews. Like if you use Righteous Reviews when you're at a job site, and it sends 4 or 5 links of primary stuff like Google and Yelp and Facebook and BBB, then your clients are leaving that stuff, and those reviews are showing up when someone types in your name and the word reviews right underneath on your Google homepage, and it fortifies all that. Not only does it fortify your conversion in your Google homepage, but these other, what you call signals, I guess, they also are graded by Google to help you show up in keyword rankings and map placement, and these reviews are showing up everywhere, and it all works in this harmonious deal.
And just to throw this out there, another reason all this is important is about 3 weeks before this recording, Google made a major change to search result displays. And a bunch of you guys are probably familiar with having the review stars under your search result.
Yeah.
Like right there in the main part of the page. If you had your site coded properly, like if you were with us, obviously, you would have seen, your 4 or 5 or whatever you had, number of stars right there.
Aggregate star rating.
Aggregate star rating. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. Word was escaping me. And they took that out. Google decided that reviews hosted or displayed on your own website are self-serving, which no hit.
Right.
So they won't display the star rating on your site. But if you have your Google homepages healthy, they will show up on your sidebar. And if someone puts in your name and they see all those other things like BBB and Facebook and Yelp, the stars will show there.
Right.
So that's you want that thing where people put in your name and then they see all those 4, 4, 4, or 5, 5, or whatever.
In Google's defense, by the way, if people had not cheated and falsified reviews, they would have kept it up. Yeah. And the problem is, by the way, I mean, if you ever looked up ours, we just had like very few reviews, like a few dozen people, because people don't leave reviews that much. And we'd have competition come in and have like 484.
Yeah.
And they're obviously
for
fake.
A company that's been in business like a year.
Even if they were in business for 5 years, they didn't. In this field of digital marketing, they did not have 484 people that left a review.
Right.
And so, but yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly.
and we'd have like 19.
Yeah.
And we never went through and
we ask for reviews just like you guys do. When we tell you guys you got to ask every client, It's because we understand, because we know how hard it is to
We
get people to
don't
give
do the
that
same
review.
volume level though as a roofer could do.
Well, yeah,
So the roofer
yeah.
could get 100 reviews
Yeah,
or 200 reviews, but that's very difficult to do in our field because we don't deal with the same volume numbers.
right.
But when we have 19 and somebody has like 484, then that was about the time that Google pulled it. So too many people falsifying reviews, and I agree. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We went off on tangent, but these are things that show up in ranking that used to, but the aggregate or the star rating still shows up on these other review sources.
Yeah,
which
like the link to your Facebook
Yeah.
page will show a thumbs up, or if you get Facebook switched from a star review system to a thumbs up, thumbs down system. So what they do is they show 1 star if you got a thumbs down, and 5 stars if you got a thumbs up on Google search results page. But if you're good on Yelp, if you're good on Angie's List, and what's that other one? Starts with an M. Manta. Sorry, name flew out of my head. And all those, the star rating will show up on your Google homepage results.
Yeah, it'll anyway. So yeah, it's something that needs to be looked at, and it's something that can get better. You can look at it and see some of this stuff, but it's a big difference if you got 5 stars and reviews and expanded knowledge graph and all of this. You don't want this to be a weak Google homepage. You want it to be really strong.
Yeah, putting in your name and looking at your Google My Business is actually a really nice quick barometer of your brand health with Google.
It is. And
if any of the links on that page are not about your business, you need to work on it.
Yeah, and if you see some of these other review places, and you really need to make sure you have reviews spread out around the web, so that when somebody comes and looks, they have the ability to see reviews on multiple platforms. It gives them more trust. It's going to help your brand. It's going to help your optimization. It's going to help your mapping. It's going to help your reviews, and going to help your conversion and the amount of leads and traffic that you get. So,
right.
I don't have anything else. You got
Yeah, I
anything
think I
else?
covered it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Call us.
Take it easy.
Bye.